Look at them scrambling. Look at them searching, swiping, interviewing, auditing, testing every single candidate like they're shopping for a knockoff version of a masterpiece they destroyed with their own hands. You gorgeous, irreplaceable, one-of-a-kind soul, welcome back. Or should I say, welcome to the front row seat of their absolute meltdown. Because if you're still here, still watching, still breathing, after everything they put you through, then you already know what this is about. This is about the most beautiful torture of all. Watching people realize they broke something they can never ever fix. They can't buy it back. They can't rebuild it. They can't even come close. And it's eating them alive. Let's set the scene, shall we? They had you. They actually had you. Not just your time, not just your energy, but your loyalty, your authenticity, your unrepeatable essence. You showed up real, raw, no filters, no pretense, just pure, uncut presence. You gave them the kind of connection people write songs about, the kind of energy that makes rooms feel warmer, the kind of loyalty that doesn't come with terms and conditions. And what did they do? They got comfortable. They got careless. They started treating you like a subscription service they could pause and resume whenever it suited their schedule. They thought you were replaceable, like some generic product on an endless shelf. They thought, if this one leaves, we'll just find another one. And oh, they tried. But here's what they didn't account for. Here's the variable that shattered their entire equation. You weren't a role. You weren't a placeholder. You weren't some factory-made replica stamped out of a universal mold. You were a limited edition. No, scratch that. You were the only edition. The prototype. The original. The one they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to replicate and failing so spectacularly it'll become a case study in cosmic regret. Because every single replacement they've dragged into your spot, every single substitute they've tried to convince themselves is just as good or even better has crumbled under the weight of comparison. Not because those people are worthless, but because they're not you. And that's the one thing they can't engineer, can't train, can't manufacture. You. They tried the upgraded model first, didn't they? Someone flashier, louder, more credentials, more polish, more everything they convinced themselves you lacked. They paraded this person around like a trophy, like proof that they made the right choice letting you go. They smiled wider in pictures. They posted more. They talked about new energy and fresh perspectives, like they were tech bloggers reviewing the latest gadget. But behind closed doors, behind closed doors, the cracks started showing immediately. Because this new person didn't read the room the way you did. Didn't anticipate needs before they were spoken. Didn't carry that inexplicable intuition that made everything just work. This replacement had all the specs on paper but none of the soul in practice. And they noticed. They noticed. But pride is a wicked thing, so they smiled through it. They pretended everything was better. They lied to themselves in HD resolution. Then came replacement number 2, the safe choice. The one who wouldn't challenge them, wouldn't outshine them, wouldn't make them feel anything too intense. Just a warm body to fill the space, to check the boxes, to exist without threatening their fragile egos. And you know what happened? Boredom. Soul-crushing, spirit-draining boredom. Because you brought fire, and they tried to replace it with a nightlight. You brought depth, and they settled for a puddle. You brought the kind of presence that made ordinary moments feel significant. And now every moment feels like waiting in line at the DMV. They realized something horrifying. They didn't just want someone in that role. They wanted the feeling you gave them. The safety, the challenge, the growth, the realness. And this person, bless them, just didn't have it. Not their fault. They're just not you. And that's the whole problem. So they cycled through a few more, didn't they? Each one lasting a little less time than the last. Each one exposing a new thing they took for granted about you. One couldn't handle pressure the way you did. Another couldn't connect with people the way you did. Another had the skills, but not the heart. Another had the heart, but not the backbone. Another had everything except that indefinable thing, that X factor, that magic ratio of qualities that made you irreplaceable. And with every failure, with every new face that couldn't fill your shoes, the truth became louder and louder and louder, until it was screaming in their ears at 3 a.m. We messed up. We destroyed something rare. We had lightning in a bottle, and we shattered the glass because we thought we could buy more lightning at the store. Now, let's talk about what this is doing to them psychologically, because, oh, it's delicious. They're not just disappointed. They're not just frustrated. They're experiencing a very specific kind of torment that only comes from knowing you caused your own suffering. It's called regret with no exit strategy. See, when you lose something to circumstances beyond your control, a natural disaster, an accident, fate, you can make peace with it eventually. You can say, it wasn't meant to be. But when you lose something because of your own arrogance, your own negligence, your own stupidity, that's different. That lives in your chest like a stone. That wakes you up at night. That makes you replay the moment you destroyed it over and over and over, searching for a rewind button that doesn't exist. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, is that they can't even talk about it. Honestly, they can't admit out loud that every replacement has been a downgrade. They can't confess that they're haunted by your absence, that they catch themselves comparing every new person to you, that they've started romanticizing the past in ways that would embarrass them if anyone could see inside their heads. Because admitting that would mean admitting they were wrong, admitting they threw away something precious, admitting that their pride cost them something they can never get back. So instead, they perform, they lie, they post the highlights. They throw around words like upgrade and better fit, while privately Googling things like how to stop comparing people to someone from your past at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Let's go deeper, because this isn't just about them failing to replace you in one area of life. This is about them discovering that you were woven into multiple areas they didn't even realize. You weren't just good at the obvious thing, the role, the title, the label. You brought value in 1,000 invisible ways they never cataloged because they took it for granted. You were the one who remembered the small things. You were the one who made people feel seen. You were the one who could diffuse tension with a perfectly timed word. You were the one who made tedious tasks bearable. You were the glue, the oil, the unspoken infrastructure that held things together. And now that you're gone, it's all falling apart in slow motion. Systems are breaking. Morale is tanking. The culture is different. The energy is off. And they can't figure out why because they never gave you credit for the invisible work. They thought anyone could do what you did. Now they know better. Now they know you were the reason it worked at all. Here's where it gets even more twisted. They're starting to gaslight themselves. They're rewriting history in real time, trying to convince themselves that it wasn't that good, that you weren't that special, that they're better off now. They'll tell stories where you're the villain, where they're the victim, where leaving you behind was an act of courage instead of stupidity. They need this narrative. They need it like oxygen. Because the alternative, admitting they lost something irreplaceable because of their own arrogance, is too painful to hold. So they lie. They revise. They edit the past like it's a rough draft. But here's the thing about lies. They require maintenance. And late at night, when the performance is over and they're alone with their thoughts, the truth comes back. It always comes back. You were real. You were rare. And they destroyed it. Now let's address the replacement's perspective for a second. Because honestly, they're victims too. Imagine being brought in as a substitute for someone you've never met, someone whose shadow is 10 feet tall, someone who's been elevated to mythical status in everyone's minds. You're set up to fail from day one. Every mistake you make gets compared to the flawless memory of someone who's no longer there to make mistakes. Every quirk you have gets measured against the quirks people miss. You're not being evaluated on your own merit. You're being evaluated as a photocopy of an original. And no matter how good you are, no matter how hard you try, you'll never be them. Because you're not supposed to be. You're you, but they don't want you. They want a clone. They want a time machine. They want magic. And when you can't deliver it, they blame you for not being someone else. It's cruel. It's unfair. And it's happening because they made a catastrophic error, and now everyone's paying for it. But back to you. Let's talk about what you've been doing while they've been cycling through replacements like a broken vending machine. You've been healing. You've been growing. You've been discovering that your worth was never tied to their recognition. You've been building a life where you're not an option, not a backup plan, not someone who has to audition for basic respect. You've been finding people who see you clearly from day one, who don't take you for granted, who understand that access to you is a privilege, not a right. You've been leveling up in ways they'll never witness. You've been becoming even more of what made you irreplaceable in the first place. And the most beautiful part, you're doing it without them. You're thriving in their absence. You're proof that you were never the problem. They were. And oh, when they hear about it, when the updates reach them through mutual connections, through social media, through the grapevine, it destroys them. Because it confirms their worst fear. You didn't need them. You were whole without them. You were the prize. And they were just lucky to be in your orbit for a while. And now that luck has run out. Now they're on the outside looking in, watching you flourish, watching you smile, watching you build something beautiful with people who actually deserve you. And every new replacement they try just makes the contrast sharper, just makes the loss more obvious, just makes the regret more unbearable. They gambled on being able to find another you, and they lost. Badly. Let's talk about the specific ways they're losing their minds, because it's not abstract, it's concrete, it's measurable. They're checking your profiles more than they'd ever admit. They're asking about you in conversations, trying to make it sound casual, trying to hide the desperation in their voice. They're comparing every new person to you out loud, then catching themselves and backtracking. They're having full arguments in their heads where they defend their decision to let you go, arguments they can never win because the evidence is against them. They're experiencing phantom pain, missing things about you they didn't even know they valued until they were gone. Your laugh, your perspective, the way you made them feel capable, the way you believed in them even when they didn't believe in themselves. All gone. Replaced by people who do the job but don't do the magic. Here's the kicker. Some of them are starting to reach out, aren't they? Subtle at first. A like here, a comment there, a hey, how have you been message that reeks of motive. They're testing the waters. They're wondering if maybe, just maybe, there's a chance to undo this, to get back what they lost, to see if you're still available, still interested, still willing to be in their life. And this is where you have all the power. Because you know something they're just starting to realize. They don't deserve a second chance. They had you at your most loyal, your most genuine, your most present. And they treated it like it was disposable. They don't get to come back now that they've figured out how rare you were. They don't get to skip the consequences of their choices. You're not a clearance item they can pick up on sale. You're a masterpiece. And masterpieces don't go back to people who treated them like trash. Let's get into the numbness they're starting to feel. Because after a while, after replacement number 5 or 6 or 10, something shifts. They stop hoping they'll find someone as good as you. They accept that they won't. And that acceptance turns into resignation, into numbness, into a quiet despair that settles over everything like fog. They stop talking about finding the right fit. They stop pretending the new person is even better. They just go through the motions. They function. They survive. But they don't thrive. Because thriving requires energy. And they're pouring all their energy into pretending they're fine, pretending they don't regret it, pretending that losing you didn't fundamentally alter their reality. And you can see it if you look close enough. The light in their eyes is dimmer. The enthusiasm is forced. The joy is performative. They're living, but they're not alive. And it's their own fault. Now, let's address the people around them because they're noticing too. Friends, family, colleagues. They're watching this pattern. They're seeing the revolving door of replacements. They're hearing the complaints, the comparisons, the barely concealed regret. And some of them are thinking what they're too polite to say out loud. You had someone amazing and you destroyed it. This is what you deserve. Because people aren't stupid. They can see when someone's chasing a ghost. They can see when someone's trying to recreate a connection that only existed once. They can see the desperation masked as optimism, and it's uncomfortable to watch. It's like watching someone try to fit a square peg into a round hole over and over and over, insisting it'll work eventually, refusing to admit that the problem isn't the peg, it's their refusal to accept reality. Here's the thing about irreplaceability. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being flawless. It's about being authentically, undeniably yourself in a way that creates a unique chemistry with the people and situations around you. It's about the exact combination of your strengths, your quirks, your energy, your history, your perspective, all colliding in a specific time and place to create something that can't be duplicated. You can find someone with similar skills. You can find someone with a similar personality, but you can't find someone with the same soul. You can't find someone who makes people feel exactly the way you made them feel. That's not arrogance. That's just truth. You're not replaceable because no one else is you. And they're learning that lesson the hard way. Let's talk about the inflation effect. Because here's what happens when you lose something irreplaceable. Everything else gets compared to it and falls short. It's like trying to enjoy a meal after you've tasted something transcendent. Nothing hits the same, nothing satisfies. They're experiencing that with every replacement. Every new person is being judged against an impossible standard. The memory of you, which has been polished and perfected in their minds over time, they've forgotten the hard parts. They've forgotten the conflicts. They've forgotten anything that wasn't perfect. What remains is a highlight reel, a greatest hits album, a curated collection of every reason you were amazing. And no living, breathing human can compete with a memory. So every replacement is doomed before they even start. Not because they're inadequate, but because they're being measured against a fantasy. And the replacements can feel it. Oh, they can feel it. They can sense that they're being held to an invisible standard. They can tell that no matter what they do, it's not quite right, not quite enough, not quite you. And it breeds resentment, it breeds insecurity, it breeds a weird, toxic dynamic where everyone's losing. The person who let you go is miserable because they can't recreate what they destroyed. The replacement is miserable because they're being judged against a ghost. And you, well, you're free. You're out of that mess. You're building something real with people who see you for who you are right now, not who they wish you could be. You win by default. You win by walking away. You win by refusing to be part of their dysfunction anymore. Let's get specific about the small moments that haunt them, because it's not always the big things. Sometimes it's the tiny details that cut the deepest. The way you used to handle a specific situation that now falls apart every time. The inside joke that no one else gets. The tradition that feels hollow without you. The way you used to light up when talking about something you loved. The comfort of knowing you'd handle something without them having to ask. These micro losses add up. They accumulate. They create a constant low-level ache that never quite goes away. And every new replacement highlights another thing they miss. Another gap they can't fill. Another reminder that they had something special and they treated it like it was ordinary. Here's the part that really twists the knife. They're starting to see you succeed in ways they never gave you credit for. They're watching you thrive in environments they said you weren't suited for. They're seeing you connect with people they said you couldn't reach. They're witnessing you accomplish things they said you weren't capable of, and it's rewriting their entire narrative because they needed to believe that letting you go was justified. They needed to believe you were the problem, but your success proves them wrong. It proves that you were always capable, always valuable, always worthy. The only problem was that they couldn't see it. Or worse, they saw it and felt threatened by it. Either way, they're the ones who lost. And watching you win without them is the ultimate proof. Now let's talk about the audit they're doing in their heads, because they're going back through everything, aren't they? Every conversation, every decision, every moment they took you for granted. They're conducting a mental autopsy, trying to figure out exactly when and how they messed up. Was it that one argument, that one choice, that pattern of behavior? They're searching for the moment it became irreversible, the point of no return, the instant they crossed a line they can't uncross. And the worst part is, they can usually pinpoint it. They can remember the exact moment they chose their ego over your presence. They can recall the decision that seemed small at the time but turned out to be catastrophic, and they can't undo it. They can't go back. They can only live with it, and it's eating them alive. Let's address the bargaining phase, because some of them are there now. They're making deals with the universe in their heads. If I could just get one more chance, if they would just come back, I'd do everything differently. If I could turn back time, I'd never take them for granted again. It's desperation masquerading as growth. It's regret pretending to be change. But here's the truth. People don't change because they miss someone. They change because they decide to become different. And most of them aren't changing. They're just sad that the consequences of their actions caught up with them. They're not sorry they hurt you. They're sorry they lost you. There's a difference. And that difference means they don't deserve another shot. Here's what they'll never tell you, but you need to know. Every replacement has heard your name. Every single one. They've heard the stories, the comparisons, the nostalgia. They've been told, directly or indirectly, that they're filling shoes that are 3 sizes too big. And some of them have asked, point blank, why aren't you with them anymore if they were so great?